Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Open Concept podcast, where we are breaking down unnecessary walls and barriers that stand in the way of greatness. Friend today, guest Matt Gohl, Waterman. Waterman.
I'll be a water boy.
Water boy.
Yeah.
Santevia water. Really very cool product. Excited. Got some water today. It is not your high class water that you provide, but it's still going to keep us hydrated. So cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Tastes pretty good.
Tastes pretty good.
I'll have to get you a Santevia though.
I need one in my life. When I started in my health and fitness journey, I really wanted to start to fall in love with water, because for a long time, really did not like drinking water because it really has no taste. And I really didn't know what good water tasted like. But anyways, we'll get into good water. But before we do, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Brandon, for having me on. I'm excited. Here to talk water, talk anything, talk business.
Water talk, cooler talk.
Water cooler chat. That's right. That's what it's all about. So I'm from Santevia. That's the company that I run. It's a family business, actually. And so we started in 2008. My parents started it because of a health problem. And so my stepdad, he had chronic acid reflux, actually. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, unfortunately, you're going to have to take medication, these things called proton pump inhibitors, for the rest of your life.
What is a proton pump inhibitor exactly?
Yeah, it regulates how much acid that your body is producing, like how much stomach acid. And so for people with chronic acid reflux, they are experiencing really nasty symptoms. I'm sure you've had acid reflux before. Mostly everybody has.
Yeah, you feel this, a lot in the morning or after you eat food, and you get up and you sort of feel it like really heartburny stuff, and it gets into your, like up into your throat.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it in your throat and your esophagus, and really common if you eat quite late at night.
Yeah.
You go to bed, you lay down, you'll start to feel that acid reflux, especially if you're eating quite like a bad diet, maybe too many chicken wings, too much beer.
A little too greasy, some spicy food that doesn't sit too well.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. So some people, unfortunately, experience this all the time.
Like even if they're eating healthy food, not drinking too much alcohol,
typically
just
they're
like, this is a thing that they live with.
Some people, yeah, exactly. And sometimes what happens is their body's producing too much acid, but sometimes, it's lifestyle related. So David, in his case, he was prescribed this medication for the rest of his life. And my mother, she's like, you know what? I think this is probably for you more of a lifestyle issue, because he wasn't eating super healthily. So she did some research, and there's actually quite a body of peer-reviewed research that says changing what you eat, your exercise levels, and very importantly, what you drink is just as effective as these PPIs, these proton pump inhibitors. So they went through changing David's lifestyle. He started to exercise a little bit more, which, takes a bit of a kick in the pants. But after,
if you're not used to it, that's like a big lifestyle change for a lot of people. If it's not worked into your everyday routine.
100%. It's a huge lifestyle change. It's hard too. And food was one of those things that he could change. It was just going to the grocery store and choosing different types of foods to eat. So it was accessible. But water, specifically, this research was talking about mineralized water that is full of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and that wasn't available on the market at the time except in bottled water form. And so my parents said, you know what? Like, let's go make this product. Let's make a water filter that doesn't just filter contaminants, but also adds back minerals. And the rest is history.
So when you're saying bottled water, like, there's a lot of different types of bottled water on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And they advertise, their photos or labels, or, maybe it's a picture of a mountain, or, a word like smart, right?
Sure.
Smart water.
Must be good.
Must be good. Must make you smarter for some reason.
Yeah, for sure. It raises your IQ.
But is water is water just not water? Like you mentioned minerals, but like you look at all of these water bottle companies or these filtered water companies, is there a real difference between something like Nestle water, Smart water, Avian water? I mean, you name it. Like, is there a vast difference or things that we should be looking out for?
100% there is.
Really?
Yeah. Water is not just water. There's so many different types of water. And if you think about just where you live, we're in Vancouver. So our water comes from the mountains that are nearby, collects rainwater, snow melt in these big reservoirs, goes through a water treatment facility. Chlorine gets added to it, maybe some other things. We add some bicarbonate to it to raise the pH of the water a little bit. And then it runs through hundreds of kilometers of distribution pipe and network to come to your tap. So that's the water here in Vancouver. But if you were somewhere else, say in New York or in Calgary,
California,
even,
yeah.
It could be groundwater. It could be basically pumped up from underground. So you might have you definitely will have a completely different mineral profile to that water. And depending on how old the infrastructure is in your region, you could have some nasty stuff in there. Quebec, as an example, in Montreal, the city of Montreal will actually buy its residents a water filter. They'll pay for it because there's so much lead in the water. Because when they
lead in the water,
there's lead in the water. Yeah,
I know a little bit about lead, and that's in water. I mean, that's not good for you. When we're talking minerals, like lead is a pretty heavy,
terrible. It's a neurotoxin, and there's a quote unquote safe level of lead, but the true safe level of lead is 0. You don't want to have any lead in your water. And in Montreal's example, the reason why they have lead in their water is a long time ago, they used to join pipes with leaded solder.
Yeah.
So we don't do that anymore, but it's very expensive to rip out all of that old infrastructure and replace it. They're in the process of doing it, but it's a $1 billion problem.
We used to have lead in a lot of paint that we would find. I mean, in construction, I mean, it's lead pipes, but lead in paint, lead in things like tile and grout and all that sort of stuff. So whenever we are removing that type of stuff, I mean, it's a big deal to remove all that, because you don't want to breathe it in, you don't want it in your system. You certainly don't want to be drinking it in your water.
Totally not, right? So just from a source perspective, there's so many different types of water. And if we think of bottled water, well, where did that bottled water come from? Did it come from groundwater? Is it a mountain water? Is it natural spring water? So it really depends on the source of that water, and then also the post-treatment that they're doing. So a lot of bottled water, they will use something called a reverse osmosis system. They'll basically take everything out of the water. They'll leave you with just H2O. But if you've ever had reverse osmosis water, just pure H2O, first thing, it doesn't taste very good, because the minerals is what gives it that nice smooth taste, what gives it, a smooth, sweet taste generally, if you're adding the right minerals in the right quantities. And moreover, it's not great for you, because these minerals are electrolytes. You need electrolytes.
Yeah.
We all know what electrolytes are. And I always like to use the analogy, like, let's say you go to a grocery store, okay? And you walk up, there's 2 tables of vegetables. And one table is like fresh organic produce grown at a local farm. Perfect. There's this other table that is demineralized vegetables. Which one are you going to choose?
You want the farm fresh, ready there,
no
sourced
question.
locally. This is healthier, better for you. It's got all the signs. It might be a little bit more expensive, but
sure,
you're probably going to be drawn towards that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a simple question, simple answer. Nobody's going to choose the demineralized vegetables, but for some reason, when it comes to water, we don't think about that. We think, hey, I'm going to drink demineralized water with nothing in it. And that's where most water filters fall short. And the Santevia difference is that we're not only filtering contaminants from the water, which is very important, especially if you're in an area that has a contaminant like lead in the water. But then it's also important to add back these healthy minerals. And so that's what we do. All of our filters have this 2-stage: filter out the bad and then add back in the good.
David, you had mentioned there that had the acid reflux issues when he started. Like, where did we end up with that? How did that turn out after this journey of developing the company, finding water?
Sure.
Yeah. What was the overall result of that? And what was that journey?
So he never started on the PPIs, and they went through and made these lifestyle changes, and found a water filter from a supplier that was kind of doing something close to what they wanted to do, and they worked with them on changing it to really match the mineral profile that tasted good and what they wanted to be the Santevia product. And so they co-developed this product with the manufacturer, and David's symptoms went away. He's never had acid reflux.
Amazing.
It's not a common thing. And it's really debilitating, because if you have it all the time, you can't sleep. You feel bad.
Yeah. No kidding. You don't want to do it. You feel lazy. You can't really exercise because you have like too much, inner turmoil, and
health is wealth, man.
It really is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So they brought over these products and they developed them, and they brought them to a health and wellness distributor called EcoTrend, based here in Vancouver. And they brought over a sample to John, who is the owner of EcoTrend, and said, "Hey, John, we've got this product. It's called the Santevia countertop system. It's a system that sits on top of your countertop. We still sell it today. It's a great seller."
Yeah.
And John said, "You know what? Leave this with me. We usually do supplements. We're like more in the food and supplement space rather than hard goods.
Yeah.
And consumer goods like this." And whatever, they left, and then John called them a week later and said that a retailer took these 10 units, and they sold out in a week.
Really?
Yeah.
And this wasn't something that they were intending on selling. They had just said as a kind
he
of.
said he would try it out.
Yeah.
He said he would try it out.
So they were a hit.
Yeah, it was a huge hit, and it was actually the store right here in Tsawwassen called Wellspring Health.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the owner of that store, Dolly, she fell in love with it. She's like, "This is what I've been waiting for." There was a huge hit in the market, and so the rest is kind of history. They started to produce these things at scale, and they distributed mostly through small natural health stores right across Canada, and that's really the start of Santevia. Much different than it is today, because we have a huge e-commerce focus now. And have launched a lot of other great products, from pitchers to glass products, because I know people really care about materials nowadays. But the core tenet of filtration and then adding minerals is we're still true to that. And it makes the water taste a lot better too.
Yeah. What other symptoms, if you're drinking, say, you're running water out of the tap? Because when I was a kid, drinking out of the garden hose was not too far fetched of an idea. Like that was just what we did. It's thirsty, and then you wait and it's been sitting in the sun all day, and the rubber, you turn it on the hose, you drink that.
Warm water out of the hose tastes good, right?
Yeah, why not? But is there some pretty significant damage that can be done to that? Like, what are we, if you're drinking, generally speaking, and I understand there's a lot of different water sources, like you said, in different areas of the world where that's coming from. We'll call it, ground zero of the water post production after it's been sourced. But for the majority of the world, do we have a real issue here? Is this something that really needs to be solved?
I mean, yes, definitely. It's not as bad. Santevia has a philanthropic arm called Santevia Gives Back, and we actually partner with a charity in Richmond called Axe, and they build these water tap stands in Uganda. And in Uganda, it's a different story, right? I mean, people are, the number 2 reason for death is waterborne illness, dysentery, essentially. After malaria, and it's terrible. People are living in water poverty. We don't live in water poverty in the West, and we're very fortunate that you can turn on your tap and hydrate yourself.
But there's still a lot of these places in the world, Africa, Uganda, other areas that a lot of people aren't aware of, but there's a lot of people that still walk every day long distances to go to gather water, probably not at its original source. There's no real production on that end, but that's what they're consuming pretty well every day.
100%. Yeah. Axe brings all these stories to life, and there's some terrifying stories. Primarily it's girls that are going to fetch water in Uganda. So they'll have these jerry cans, essentially. They'll take jerry cans to a river or stream that can sometimes be a mile away, and fill them up. They're huge, heavy jerry cans. Definitely, something, and you're walking through forest. It can be unsafe, especially for young girls. They, are at risk of sexual violence. Not to mention when they're going to fetch water, unfortunately, there are missing opportunities like being able to go to school. And then they're doing all that to fetch water that definitely has bacteria and parasites in it that are going to potentially make them sick. So it's just, it cuts so many different ways, and it's just a terrible cycle of poverty that you have to really break. And the easiest way to break that is to provide clean, consistent access to drinking water close to where they live. And so Axe does something really simple. They build these large water reservoirs at the tops of hills. They collect rainwater or groundwater, depending on the region. They'll go and do a geological survey and figure out what's easiest in that area. They build a simple network of PVC pipes down to villages below, and every water reservoir might have 50 or 100 taps coming off of it, and just brings water really close. And then at the same time, they're implementing a wash program, teaching you how to make soap, how to wash your hands, how to safely go to the washroom, how to not cross-contaminate things, like don't use a bucket that's been used for dirty things with your clean, fresh drinking water. And what you see is that economies start to thrive around those taps because people are healthy.
Yeah. So I can see why these economies are thriving, because all of a sudden people are healthy, and it gives a lot of people probably a lot of learning and knowledge, and they are all contributing to a cause as well, right? Making the community healthy. And there's a lot of purpose around that in other areas where there's probably not a lot of other opportunity for them. So they see people doing good things, the community doing well, the people starting to thrive, people are getting healthier. They're smiling a lot more. They don't have to make that big trek, to the swamp to go and get water.
Yeah.
And I can really see how that whole ecosystem can really start forming just around a tap of fresh water.
For sure. And how different is that than where we live, right? We're so fortunate to have tap water, but at the same time, is it ideal? Like, is it the optimal form of hydration? And the answer is unequivocally no way. We have chlorine in our water. It's a chemical disinfectant.
So I have a question on
Sure.
on chlorine, because it's a chemical disinfectant, but it's still in a lot of water, like bottled water that you see. Is there no way to get the chlorine out? Like, if you see, because you do taste it, right, in the tap water that you drink, you kind of get this little, what you're drinking is not 100% water. And if you go to any hotel and you're drinking tap water and they say, yeah, it's fresh, fresh water, you can drink that, but you just you taste that, it kind of sits on the roof of your mouth.
Yeah,
it tastes fake. It tastes overly chlorinated.
Yeah. And it's funny because people who drink chlorinated water all the time, they go nose blind to it. So once you start drinking filtered water, you're taking the chlorine out, and then you go back to chlorinated water. It's like you can't stand it.
Yeah.
I have trouble drinking chlorinated water because I can smell it.
Yeah.
So is there a way to filter it out? Yeah, it's super easy. Like almost every water filter on the market will filter chlorine. You use activated carbon, the chlorine just kind of sticks to the activated carbon, and it's a great way to filter it out. And you should. Because if you think about principally, like what is chlorine actually doing in our water? Well, what it's doing, it's like the packaging. Remember going back to the story of where our water comes in Vancouver. It comes from the mountains. It goes to a water distribution plant and they're adding chlorine and it goes through this network of pipes. The chlorine is there to make sure that we don't have bacterial and parasite growth on the way from that water treatment facility to your house. Right? Just for the same reason that in Uganda people get sick, we can get sick here too. And until we had commercial chlorination of water, people would get sick and people would die of things like cholera, waterborne illnesses, right? So it's so important that you have chlorine in your water, and just about every single city right across North America, right across the Western world adds chlorine to their water because it's super effective. Or some derivation of chlorine. Sometimes it's ozonation, sometimes it's chlorides, different forms of a disinfectant that you don't want to drink, because what happens when you drink that water goes into your body, it's going to kill bacteria and parasites in your body as well. Free available chlorine, it's very reactive. So that's kind of like the chlorine that's available to you combined with bacteria and what makes that bacteria no longer harmful to you. It's still free and available to do its thing when you drink it. So take it out. And it's not a hard thing to do. You can go buy like a really inexpensive Brita pitcher and filter that chlorine out. And if you're not doing that, I recommend everybody do that. Even if you don't go get a Santevia, just go get something that will filter chlorine out, because it's such an easy thing. And the research on like, is this harmful to us or not, is not great, because these are called epidemiological studies, and they basically have to try and correlate something with a health outcome. But, maybe somebody works out all the time and eats really well and they drink chlorinated water and so they don't get sick. But maybe somebody else is like, not super healthy. They drink chlorinated water and then they get sick. And maybe it was the chlorine in those two scenarios that was kind of like dragging people down.
And you can really feel it too I find in my stomach, like if you drink water that is not great water, it just sort of sits there, right? Yeah. It doesn't do anything. It's like it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't hydrate you properly. It's like there's these, from what I understand, there's like water molecules. If they're not properly filtrated, then they just don't dissolve and don't enter your system the way that they're supposed to. So you kind of get the leftovers. I know I'm not describing it right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Conversation that I was having with somebody.
There's potentially something to that. So it's kind of like, how hydrating is your water?
How hydrating is your water? How much, if we're drinking tap water, for example, is it doing the job of hydrating you in the way that it should be versus a filtered water? Because water is water. It's in liquid form, and I understand that there's a lot of minerals and processes that can go in water or be stripped out of water. But when it comes to hydrating you, like I just feel better when I drink better water, and it doesn't give you that full like slosh around feeling that kind of happens when you drink unfiltered water.
Totally. Yeah. And
this is filtered water, by the way.
I taste it. I don't taste the chlorine. Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice.
That's good.
There is something to that. So like, when you add minerals, you raise the pH, and, in studies, people generally report feeling more hydrated from, filtered mineralized water than they do if you drink, water with no minerals or low pH water. So when you add minerals, if you think back, I'm going to take us all the way back to like grade 10 science.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So I almost passed grade 10 science.
No, that's good.
So this will be a good refresher.
Okay. No test after this.
Okay. All right.
So we have a pH scale, 0 to 14. 0 is very acidic. 14 is very alkaline or basic. Okay. 7 in the middle is straight neutral.
Okay.
Okay. If we have water with no minerals in it, it will likely be acidic, below 7. Okay. If you have water with minerals in it, it will be above 7. So that's why everybody's heard of alkaline water.
Yeah.
That's what people are. It's not the fact that the water is alkaline that's important. the fact that there's minerals in the water. When you add minerals, it just happens to make it alkaline.
So if you were to add, I mean, I've seen them, you see runners and stuff, if they're running long distance or sweating a lot, cracking some salt into water. Is that the idea behind that, is putting minerals back into the water?
Totally. Minerals are electrolytes, right? So when we're putting, when we're going for a long run or something, you'll put in, magnesium a lot of the time to prevent muscle cramping, a lot of sodium because you're sweating out a lot of salt. If you were to drink that many minerals in your water all the time, you'd get a headache.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that's basically your body telling me like, holy smokes, too many minerals. I'm not processing this many. But when you're running or exercise, I used to cycle a lot, and you'd have to do that or else you'd just bonk out.
Yeah.
Right. You just like your body stops working. So you have to do that. You have to drink a ton of sodium, ton of magnesium. So we're doing that. When we add minerals back to the water with Santevia, we're adding a much smaller amount of minerals. But yeah, definitely these minerals that your body needs.
What about things like washing your vegetables and the food? I mean, how much of that do we absorb? Is that if we're using just out of the sink and we're washing lettuce and apples and fruit and whatever, how much of that are we absorbing? Is that a big no as well? Because
the scary thing is.
Yeah, I don't actually. That's what I'm asking.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Nobody knows, but it could be terribly scary. So like a big topic right now is plastic, right? Everybody's concerned about plastic and how much plastic I'm ingesting. You've heard probably that like, oh yeah, in a year you're eating like a credit card size worth of plastic.
Yeah.
Right? So, is that bad for us or is it not bad for us? Nobody knows.
Well, you hear the microplastics, right? Yeah. That's a big thing in whether it's with us or in the ocean, and we're talking about fish and whales and all that sort of stuff, consuming these microplastics, and it's the forever chemical,
sure,
right? And so that you can't get rid of it once it's in your body.
Yeah,
this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
and I don't know all of the science behind it, but this is certainly what I've heard, and it has definitely driven some level of fear into me, and probably for the best. Like it's like I agree that probably ingesting zero plastic at all would be the best way to do it, but I don't know at what level that starts affecting things. And I remember like leaving the was it? I think it was Jennifer Aniston. I remember back I was probably high school or something along those lines. And it came out that I thought she somebody will correct me. I thought maybe she had breast cancer or had cancer of some sort. And the doctors felt that it was due to drinking warm water from plastic water bottles that have just been like getting warm in the car. I don't know if that is just like an urban legend or myth, but you do see these BPA free water bottles. But even with that, people are saying, the BPA free doesn't mean it's free of BPA, or there's something else to that going on. Like
BPA, BPB, like I'm pretty sure these are binding agents in plastics. Like they're the things that like make that plastic kind of stick together. And so, we've taken out BPA, BPB, BPC from plastics, and they are classed as carcinogens. So carcinogenic, cause cancer. Definitely don't want to drink them. I don't think like a lot of people don't microwave stuff in plastic anymore because basically you're heating up.
I haven't had a microwave in.
You don't have a microwave?
Like well over a decade.
Oh, good for you. Okay.
Yeah, no.
I have a microwave. I use it all the time.
Yeah,
Maybe I shouldn't.
I don't. For the same reasons the plastic water bottles. I was like, I don't know. There's something about having the microwave and microwaving food that's just like it just gets hot too quick.
Yeah.
You put it in there, it zaps it like.
It uses a lot of power at the same time. I don't know.
I trust fire. Like I trust a hot element on a stove that's boiling water through a pot. Like that's how I'll reheat food.
Okay. So
I
do you use gas at home?
I don't use So I have. I cook with my barbecue.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't have gas appliances.
Okay. So this is like a big one. Like so.
people love cooking with gas appliances. We do still install a lot of gas appliances, even though most municipalities are really pushing to go mostly electric, or if not all electric. Vancouver is one of the greenest cities on the planet, or trying to become the greenest city on the planet, and so they're outlawing pretty well any sort of gas appliance. But people love cooking with gas.
I love cooking with gas. Okay. And for the longest time, I didn't know that you were supposed to turn on your hood vent fan when you're cooking with gas.
That's the thing.
Like, I grew up, my like family house had a gas stove too. And I grew up cooking with gas and never turning the hood fan on. And like, it came, I think it was on the CBC or something like a year ago. And they're like, it's terrible for you. Like, if you're not turning your hood vent. And I'm like, think about it. I'm like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, we're burning burning hydrocarbons, like they're breaking apart into all these weird things, and you're breathing that in.
Yeah.
And somebody who works at Santevia, she's Japanese, and she's like, oh, in Japan, like everybody uses gas. Like, it's very, very common. And I was like, do you turn on your hood vent fan when you're cooking? And she's like, yeah, of course, everybody does. I was like, have you always done that? She's like, yeah, of course. It's terrible if you don't. I was like, oh my gosh. In Canada, we're late to the party, or maybe it's just me. But
yeah, well, I had so we have a daughter, and I know you have a kid on the way too. So
yeah, we do.
Huge congratulations there. My daughter, when she was young, that was a conversation that my wife and I had about heating up the milk in the bottle, right? And so the idea, like, it was super easy to just have a microwave, and brought that up. I was like, I just don't like the microwave.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I know we gotta heat it up, but like, so what we've been doing is taking her bottle of milk, and we boil hot water, and I put it into like a thermal cup, and I put the bottle of milk into the thermal cup, and then it just gets warm that way versus throwing it in the microwave.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much harm microwaves do. I for whatever reason, I
definitely for heating things up, it's like really inconsistent, right? Like you like, for food at least, like you eat the top and it's like burning hot, and you get to the center of it and it's still cold.
Yeah.
Like, if you're reheating any sort of meat, like, it's a guarantee, you're guaranteed to overcook it.
Supposed to, like, the microwave is supposed to have one job, and that's to heat up your food. And like, it just, it will.
Maybe if you put it on low power and like put it in the microwave for like 5 minutes or something. I don't know.
Well, and this was like when I was a kid, had a lot of microwave dinners, and that was kind of what grew up on, and that was fun. It was like all this frozen dinners, the Michelinas. It was like frozen pasta and frozen, sauce and stuff. And we'd throw that in the microwave, and it would get like super hot, and then you kind of had to like chunk it out into chunk the ice around, scoop it up, reheat it, and go through that. And it was good, but I was like, it was frozen microwave ready pasta, and I was kind of a chubby kid.
Yeah.
And it was, and like, skin wasn't great, and I can't help but think that played a bit of a part of it. Was that diet of growing up and just not knowing. And so anyways, it's been probably over a decade since I've owned a microwave.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these like health consequences of activities that we do, a lot of them aren't known. Like, think about when cigarettes first came out, like, doctors would recommend that you have a cigarette.
Yeah. You look stressed out, man. Here, fire a couple of darts back.
For sure. Right. Like, so I think there's a lot of stuff that we do today that's probably equally bad, and we just don't know about it. I follow the principle of like, you don't, like, especially when it comes to your environment, you just don't want things where they shouldn't be. So like, I don't want plastic in my body. I don't know if there's like a great link between plastic in my body and health, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. And I know that like the human biology didn't develop in like, with plastic in it.
Yeah.
So
not in its original form.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, maybe in our new plasticized form, we can have some plastic.
We're evolving as humans, so that could be a thing.
Yeah. And so the same thing with water. Like, I don't want anything in my water but pure H2O, calcium, magnesium, potassium, zinc, and some other trace minerals, because I know that's how water used to be. If you were to go to a fresh mountain stream that was unpolluted away from industry and you tested that water, it'd be pure and there'd be a lot of these minerals because it's going over rocks, picking up all these good things. And so that's how we try and make our water.
You guys are also scaling quite a bit right now, getting, again, I think what you're doing is incredibly great, getting good, tasty water and products and healthy things in front of the world. Scaling quite a bit. You were mentioned to me you're going on Dragon's Den too pretty quick.
We are, yeah. We're filming pretty soon. Yeah, I'm excited. We was funny because we auditioned for Dragon's Den last year. Michael, my business partner, and I'm the CEO. Michael's the COO. And we bought the business actually from my parents about 2 years ago now. They were looking to retire. We were looking to scale.
Yeah.
And just kind of, worked out perfectly. And so we went on to Dragon's Den because, we're all about scaling. We're going to grow this thing. We're going to, we're trying to get to 100 million. And we auditioned and we didn't get it. And I was like kind of disappointed because I felt like we did such a strong audition.
Did they give you any feedback as to why?
That's the crazy thing is they when you do the audition, they say, if you don't get it, don't email us. Because I know they acknowledge that everybody wants to know what they did wrong, but there's just such a volume of applicants that they can't tell everybody.
Yeah, I know is a no.
Yeah. I mean, well, actually no response is a no.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we didn't get it. And then this year auditions happened in February. And we weren't going to audition because we didn't get it last year. And I don't think we're quite the traditional Dragon's Den company because we're a bit bigger. And one of the producers called us and said, hey, you guys should audition. We liked your audition last year. And so I was like, oh, okay. Confused why we didn't get it. But, and they said, it was funny. They said water filtration, we think maybe it's boring for TV. So you have to make your pitch more exciting.
Really?
Yeah. But I was like,
that's good. That's good feedback.
It's good feedback.
Yeah, it's great. Because
you have to realize Dragon's Den, it's an investment show, but we're really the product, right? The dragons and us, the companies, we're products.
It is entertainment. It's entertainment. A TV show.
100%, right? People need entertaining content to watch. So we took that to heart and like made a really stellar pitch to audition. Like it's not the actual show. So we go and do that for the producers. And then like 3 weeks ago, I talked to Michael. Michael, like, man, I don't think we got it again. That's brutal. I was like, we're not going to go audition for Dragons anymore because it's such a waste of time. Like, whatever. Kind of just disappointed, dejected. And then literally the next day, I get a call from an unknown number. And I'm like, I usually don't pick up unknown phone calls because like it's just so much scam these days. I pick it up and it's a producer from Dragon's Den. They're like, you got it.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, man. Oh my gosh, that's insane. I was in the warehouse. Yeah. It was like a big sale period for us. It was all hands on deck, packing boxes. Like we were shipping out, I think we shipped like 2,000 packages that day. Everybody was down there. And I was like, guys, we just got on Dragon's Den. And team was so stoked. I was stoked. And so, yeah, we go to film like the actual episode next month.
Yeah.
And then I think it will air kind of like September, October.
Who would be your ideal dragon dream team?
I don't know. You know, like there's so many good dragons. I don't have a preferred dragon. I feel like I would accept any dragon for investment. They're all like seasoned business people. They all bring their own skill set. From, you know, some are experts in e-commerce, some are experts in SaaS products, some are retail giants and like great with CPG, consumer packaged goods. So I think like on the day of, we'll have to see who offers us and hopefully make a deal. The rule on Dragon's Den is you ask for a certain amount of investment and you have to walk away with at least that much investment. The portion of equity that you give up for that money can change. But you have to walk away with what you ask for. So, yeah.
Interesting. That's super exciting though, man.
Yeah.
I imagine the team was pretty pumped. Everyone on the floor there.
So stoked. Yeah. I mean, like our marketing team is really amped because we get to like plan a campaign around Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
Like I grew up as a kid watching Dragon's Den and like imagining one day that I'd be on Dragon's Den. working on my pitch. I grew up watching my parents build this business, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a huge thing for me. I always wanted to start a business, and yeah, so cool to like actually get to go do it now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
When you're with water, and how important is good, clean water for your skin? Do you have any insight into that? I know we're talking about drinking water, but since we're on the topic of water, so when you're showering with water, or you're bathing, or you're in a hot tub, like, is there a difference in water at that point? I mean, I see stuff, and they have different products all the time, water softeners and hardeners, and, we install products, but I want to know if you have any feedback on watering or showering with water, and water directly on your skin.
Totally.
How that might have an impact on your skin, and also with drinking water, because the water, when you sweat, it starts seeing its way through your pores and onto your skin, and does water have an effect really on the surface of your skin?
Totally. It's a good question. Yes, definitely. The type of water you put on your skin makes a big difference. So we have two products. One is launched already, and one is going to launch very soon.
Okay.
But you can hear it here first.
All right. We are. Glad I asked the question.
So we have a bath filter that's a very popular product for us. Actually, it's our number one SKU in the USA. And what it does is it filters chlorine from your bath water and adds magnesium back to your bath water. So why filter chlorine from your bath water? Well, the reason why is it reacts with your skin just like it reacts with bacteria, and it causes dryness. And so anyone with eczema, dry, itchy skin, or just like sensitive skin, and if you have a bath and you notice that you get out and you're kind of itchy or a little bit red, you should definitely be filtering that chlorine from the water, and you'll notice a big difference. So it makes a huge difference. Your skin is your largest organ. Protect it. It's very dehydrating. And for people who have eczema, like, easy win. Just filter your bath water first. Also for young kids have very sensitive skin.
Well, I'm asking because my daughter bathes all the time.
Yeah, all kids do, right? Because they don't have showers yet, right? They're having baths.
They're babies.
Yeah. So actually, that bath filter, when we first launched it, was branded as a baby bath filter, because it was specifically for babies.
Really?
Yeah. But what we found when we launched it is that females mostly were buying it. Like, and we're like, do you have kids? I'm like, no, I don't have kids. Like, I just like take baths all the time, and, want to take care of my skin, because I feel like women are the smarter sex, and
in almost all cases.
Yeah. And, they take care of their skin in a way that most guys just don't even care. And then we get old and we're all weathered and like,
and I wonder that, like, they put all sorts of lotions on and everything.
Sure.
And for me, I don't know if you're anything like me, but it's like quick shower, shave, gone.
Totally.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know. Every once in a while, my wife, she'll be like, hey, you should put some like squalene on your face.
Yeah. Some what?
Some squalene. I don't know. It's just like a moisturizer, right? Like, she buys all these different things, tinctures and stuff like that. I'm like, what is that? Like, why do I do it? Should I be doing that all the time?
Admittedly, like, it's a world I know very little about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ask your wife. Yeah. Ask your wife. She'll know all about it. So yeah, taking care of your skin is super important. The bath filter is a great way to do that. And then we also have this new and upcoming product, which is the shower filter. And same thing, like when you're showering, you should filter the chlorine from your shower water. Same chlorine is going on all over your skin. You're even inhaling like this water vapor that has chlorine in it, which is really hard to measure, like how much chlorine you're absorbing through your lungs. But it's a significant amount, maybe as much or more than when you drink water, which is kind of something scary to think about.
Yeah, because and I don't even know how you would measure that, right? Like, you can see the results if you're showering and you have eczema and you put on a bath filter, like you probably feel better, maybe a few less symptoms. But is there, like, other than visually, is there like how would you measure that? Do you have any idea?
So to measure like how much water or how much chlorine you might be inhaling, we actually use like just basically like air pumps. We'll just put like an air pump into a shower, suck it through, and then do a a chlorine test of that air and vapor that's in that container. But from like a more feel perspective, hair, like you'll feel the difference in your hair. You'll notice that.
That's why I don't notice anything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, who knows? Maybe you have the shower filter. You have this like long, luscious hair.
I'm in. You got samples of
Yeah. So yeah, it's big for hair, and hair loss actually is a big thing. So it's a cool product. I'm really excited about it. There's one other like sneaky thing about this that's going to be really environmentally friendly. I can't drop it yet.
But, why not?
Keep an eye out. Right. And there's something really cool about the shower filter specifically that I'm sure you'll love.
Very cool. Can't wait to see that product and probably test it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Family business.
Yeah.
When did you start? Because your family launched the company. Your mom launched the company 2008.
Mm-hmm.
You said. So when did you get involved?
Full time in 2018. But I was working in the business all the time. I unloaded the very first shipping container of product. I was doing like online e-commerce orders, shipping those out every summer in between, on my summer breaks and summer holidays. And that's back before e-commerce was even really a thing. But 2018, I was actually, so I went to the University of Victoria, and then I did an exchange, and I was living in Beijing for that exchange. And then I came back and started working for a tech company because I really wanted to get into technology.
Water wasn't like on your radar at that point.
Family business, definitely was interested in it, but I wanted to go cut my teeth on tech products, I thought. And so I got into programming and started working for a data management company actually based in Richmond. And then they had a satellite office in London, England. And so then I moved out there. I was living in England for a while and just kind of got bored of doing that sort of stuff. But I did get to learn how to program, which was great because I had always wanted to do that. And then I came back and joined the family business because I was I could see, I always knew that I was going to end up there, but I wanted to go do my own thing, spread my wings for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I joined the family business and, really started working mostly on the digital side of things. And that's where I saw the business had kind of flatlined. We were same revenue for 3-4 years. And I started to think about growth drivers. Where is this business going to be in 3 years? Where's it going to be in 5 years? And where can we really find new customers and spread the word about, because it's an awesome product and we're really health focused. We want everybody to have access to clean mineralized water so that you can go live your best life. Health is so important. And this is an awesome way to drink more water, which is one of the healthiest things you can do for your body. Just drink more water, drink good water, do it every day, be consistent, cut out the sugary drinks if you can do it. I have coffee, but other than coffee, I'm drinking water. Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel good, gives me energy, makes me think more clearly. And this is the message and kind of the life hack that we're trying to bring to everyone, that it's so easy to just live a better life. All you got to do is drink more clean mineralized water. And so e-commerce was kind of where I was I know we can do something with e-commerce. So me and my business partner, Michael, now we're both started at the same time. Michael was originally a friend of my sister's, actually, who was working in the business at the time. And we started to really figure out digital advertising and started our Shopify store and started to think about how we acquire customers profitably. And did Meta Facebook advertising at the time, now Meta. Yeah. All of that, Google PPC advertising, and email marketing was huge for us. Actually, I remember we had a bunch of emails because we had customers, over that we had collected for many, many years. And, the business was much smaller back then. And I found all these emails just on some WordPress, the back end of WordPress, which is what our website used to be.
Yeah.
And I sent an email to everybody and said hey, there's a sale on now, come and shop. And we did $25,000 in a day which back then was like huge for us.
Wow.
Absolutely massive. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people look at their emails. Like that's huge. And so like then we turned on email, started sending regular emails, like getting in contact with our customers. And so
weird, you talk to your customers, you have a good product and they buy from you. It's
for sure.
Weird concept.
It's a super weird concept, right? Like you have to communicate. Yeah, so we really did that, and then I stepped into the CEO role about 2 years ago, right when I was, we had been purchased the business, and my stepdad had retired much before that, and my mom retired then, and we made some really aggressive growth goals, and so 3 years ago we scaled 40%. 2 years ago we scaled about 45. And this year we're on track to do it again.
Hell yeah.
So like we're up to 28 staff now. No signs of slowing down. Like we have an objective of 15 million this year. Like I think we can push way deeper than that. Let's go. Like I think with Dragon's Den, like we can push way beyond that. So like we're finding scale, which is cool. And we're just doing e-com, really.
As far as the products, the glass products, the manufacturing, what does it take to put together the actual filtration product itself? Can you walk me through, because you need the water,
mm-hmm.
you need the product
mm-hmm.
that it houses the water,
mm-hmm.
and then you need to get that to your customer. So where does design of the product come in? Where do you manufacture from? What is that process of getting water from that source into the products, or you're not selling any water at all? It's just
we don't sell water. Like all of our products are designed to be used with your tap water. So, and the reason for that is that like shipping water is one of the most environmentally unfriendly things you can do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, shipping something that's super heavy, super big. It's terrible. So like that's kind of like we're trying to kill bottled water, right? Like you don't need bottled water anymore. You can buy a Santevia. You can fill up your bottle that you'll reuse forever. Go buy a nice stainless steel Stanley bottle or buy a Santevia stainless steel bottle and, just bring it to work every day. Get a Santevia at your work. All these things. Because we have this distribution network of water already. So let's utilize that rather than like also sending trucks full of water to the grocery store and like buying water. So
yeah, because it's not only the water, but it's the fuel to transport it, to manufacture it. Then you have the plastics that are actually being manufactured and causing more carbon. And it's a big production.
And think about all of the fuel that goes into actually manufacturing that plastic, right? And then you have the microplastics breaking down. So like a general rule of thumb with plastics is the softer the plastic, the worse it is from a microplastics perspective. Because when you're squeezing the plastic, it's shedding plastic at a microscopic level. So like if you have a thick piece of plastic that doesn't bend, it's pretty safe. It's not going to shed as much plastic as something like a Kirkland water bottle that you can crinkle in your hand, right? So product development, it's a tricky one. Like we launched a glass water system a couple of years ago, which has been a huge product. It's our flagship product for us right now. And I designed that one. And through the process of designing that product, I realized that like it's really hard to design a product. And definitely it's the manufacturing at scale is really hard because it's easy to make one of something, but to make like 10,000 of something is super tough because you have to think about the unit economics. You have to think about, manufacturing processes and packing, and things break when you do them at big numbers. Law of big numbers is like you'll encounter every problem that you could possibly encounter when you do enough of something.
Yeah, package engineering, right, is something.
The packaging was hard, actually. Yeah, super hard figuring that out. And we went through a couple iterations of packages too. But there's so many partners. There's so many people who have done it before, and you just need to go and find the right people and then have a really clear vision. Because the most costly thing, I think, is having an unclear vision if you don't know what you're trying to achieve and you go and approach somebody and kind of pie in the sky, say, what could we make? You'll go through this circuitous like path and you probably won't get where you want to go. And I mean, what a perfect like metaphor for life too, right? Like
I was going to say for life, for business, right? If you don't have that very clear vision of what you're going to be, where you are wanting to go, and you can't explain it, you can't define it, then it becomes just an imaginary thought with zero direction. And maybe there's 100 ways to get there, but chances are you'll probably never pick one because you get paralyzed by the thought of just how many different directions you can go in. So having said that crystal clarity on what it is that you're after, what you want to see, what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like, is going to eliminate so many of the other options out there really allow you to find that person that is going to be able to nail that.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking about what your customers want too. So, I mean, like the big thing for us was we went and spoke with our customers and we heard that they wanted something in glass. So we went and made a glass product. But now, having gone through that and really like it was a trial by fire, now we are working with a product design firm for these. We're making 2 new products right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working with them. And then I also hired our first full-time product person because what I noticed is that I was working on these products off the side of my desk. Like I'm doing a lot of other stuff in the company too.
Yeah.
And it was frustratingly slow.
Yeah.
Because, some weeks you're just like, oh man, I got to fly to Toronto, like, or like whatever, right? Or, the manufacture, we manufacture our filters right here in Vancouver. And, maybe something goes wrong with the manufacturing line. Like that's the lifeblood of our company. Like I have to stop everything and like fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think having help is like really, really helpful for sure. So we were working with, a great product design firm and, it's speeding things up. We have somebody who's focused on product 100% of the time and we're getting better at manufacturing, too. We've like have now worked with glass products before, so that's really good.
What does your customer feedback loop look like? Are you guys doing? You feel you're doing a great job of that? You said your customers have said that they want glass in their product, but what sort of when you're designing the product for consumers and for the public, something that you're going to sell, how much input do you get from what they want?
Yeah, I don't think you can ever talk to your customers enough. And I say that, but I probably don't talk to my customers enough.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah. So you hear things like, especially we're a consumer packaged goods company, right? So we sell a lot of the same product. It's different than you. You're making all these bespoke,
Nothing we do, we can't manufacture any and replicate any of the same thing that we do here with this company. It is like it's a totally different process.
Totally. Right. So it's different. I would say the benefit of being in our position is that we have the same product and we're trying to replicate the same product and product experience over and over again, which really allows us to hone in on like the perfect optimal experience for our customer. So you hear things through things like reviews online. We'll sometimes do intercepts, like we'll like intercept a customer and say like, hey, you've had this product for a while. Like, what do you think about it? Those are like very intimate conversations, but we'll also do things like consumer surveys. So we'll try and do a really big consumer survey once a year. We'll have thousands and thousands of responses. And we try and incentivize people to answer those questions. Maybe we'll give a gift card or something like that. But you learn things and people say, when it's private when it's private and there's no downside, people will give you the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And that's great because, I remember when I first launched the glass water system, it was the first product that I had made. And I was nervous about getting bad feedback, obviously, but I was like, I realized I didn't want to hear it. And then I reflected on that and I said to myself, I do want to hear it because if I don't hear that and make changes, then I've made a bad product. But if I hear that and I internalize it and actually make changes, then like this will be a fantastic product. right? And so that's what we've done is really listen to our customers, and that's why we first honed in on that glass water system. But also we've made a lot of iterations on it over time. I'm a huge fan of like the iPhone model. Like you come out with a new version every year. We try and do that. Keep improving. Like the iPhone 13 or whatever number we're at versus like the iPhone 15 or 16, wherever we are, it's like pretty much the same phone. It just gets like incrementally better. It's a little better camera, a little bit faster.
I love what you said about incrementally making changes and improvements, tweaking the improvements to give your customers the best experience possible and the ultimate experience. And it's like in our line of work, because we don't have a product where we're sending out 10,000s. We're not getting feedback from 10,000 customers, right? So with us, it like as we go, those checkpoints with customers on how things are going, and that feedback has to happen in real time. And because we're working with one customer over a 6-month period or a 12-month period or an 18-month period, you get to build that relationship with them. And if you get to the end of that 12 months and you don't get a 5-star review from that customer, that kind of sucks, right? That leaves you like, man, we went through this for 12 months and we couldn't nail it. So you have to nail it at so many stages throughout the course of the customer journey,
for sure,
in order to make that a good experience. And like you said, people don't want to hear the bad feedback, or nobody wants to hear that their product isn't great or that their service isn't great. Nobody wants to hear that. But I love what you said about you actually did. Whether you wanted to hear it, you needed to hear it. And that was going to be the only way that was going to allow you to design a better product to give the customers what they wanted. Because the public, if they don't like your product or your service, they're going to tell other people. And a lot of people, they may not tell you because they don't want to hurt your feelings or they don't want to cause issues. They don't like conflict, but they will have no problem telling other people not to buy your product because they didn't have a good experience with it. So being proactive and making sure and checking in and getting candid feedback is absolutely crucial, because you don't want to be spending, a huge amount of money on manufacturing and designing a product that people don't want or people don't like. So you need to understand as quickly as possible what people do not like about the product and what they do, so that you can make those changes as fast as possible.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think an aspect of being a strong leader is being able to have those tough conversations and having a thick enough skin to be able to take what is sometimes terrible feedback, and then having soft enough skin to being able to like emphasize with the customer, empathize with them, and really understand their need. And then changing your product or service to meet their need. That's product market fit right there, right? And it's so important that you do that in a leadership role, or you won't have a company for very long.
I had a good friend of mine give me some advice when I was having my first kid, and he's got a few daughters, and he said, you got to know when to be tough. You got to know when to be know when to be tender, right? It's like that balance between tough and tender.
Yeah.
When you're laying down discipline and when you're receiving that feedback, and knowing when to provide empathy and listening and all sorts of stuff. It's man, I'm super excited for you guys.
Yeah, I
can't wait to see what happens on Dragon's Den too.
Me too. Yeah, I hope we get a deal. Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's what I'm most excited about though is just getting to participate in the show.
Very cool.
Deal or no deal, I'm just like stoked to be there and to say that like that's something I did in my life. Get to go on Dragon's Den, so cool.
When you audition?
I auditioned in February, and then we film next month in May. Yeah.
Yeah. Are we gonna come back and do this again afterwards once it airs? Because we gotta talk about how it went.
We're gonna do a watch party. You should come to the watch party. Maybe we can live stream it or something. That'd be super fun.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Awesome. Man, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
I am on LinkedIn, Matt Gohl at Santevia. I am on Twitter at Matt Gohl. or you can check out our website, santevia.com. Our email address is all over that, and ask for Matt. It'll get forwarded to me. We're not that big.
If you can give, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. We don't.
I hope I'm never that big. Actually,
don't make that. Don't give everybody your email address when you go on Dragon's Den.
No, I'll talk to every customer. You want to email me, Matthew@santevia.com. Seriously, email me. I'm always game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any last pieces of wisdom, man, that you would love to share with these listeners?
Health is wealth. Honestly, it's the most important thing in life. More important than business. The health of you and your family is so important. So try and find some easy things to stay healthy, stay fit. Drinking water is a great one. Eating well, exercising. Keys to life right there.
Cheers.
Cheers to
your
that,
health, buddy.
yeah.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
To all the listeners that are out there that are still with us, thank you so much for being here. Matt, it was awesome. Everyone else out there, rock and roll.
Right on. Appreciate it.